sharp it is, not with your finger, but on a piece of wood or other material. If you're cutting something, you want to cut away from your body instead towards your body. You want to make sure that your hand tools are in good shape. As to the other things in terms of protecting your hand, gloves are a key item. Now, how many use gloves? Gloves are important, but you need to make sure that you have the right type of glove. You know, if you're handling metal, cotton gloves are not going to do you much good. Or sharp items. So you need to use the right glove for the right job. Another issue in terms of hand injuries is, it was really a good point. Jewelry. How many people had an injury as a result of a ring? What happened in your case?
Pull the finger. Could pull it off.
That's right. I lost a lot of skin one time when I was working. I threw a piece of lumber into the bin and there was a nail that caught in my ring. So, you know, I talked to a guy who lost his arm because he had some jewelry and it got caught into a threading machine. So, when you're handling high torque items like threading machines like that, make sure your clothes are not loose, particularly around your wrist. Make sure that you don't wear a watch or loose jewelry that can be caught into the machine. Another problem too is with high torque drills or even grinders, it's important that you use both hands. I saw a guy break his wrist one time. He was a plumber, he was drilling a hole. He had a high torque drill, and what happened, he hit a knot and broke his wrist. So if you're using a tool which has high torque to it, make sure you use both hands to control it, or you run the risk of breaking your wrist. Okay. Let's see if I've covered everything I want to cover. I haven't. It's another issue is I want you not to tie down guards. You guys ever use push rods? You know, push rods? Pardon?
Push rod?
Yeah, push rods. You know, you get a piece of wood, you got like a saw. That's
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
In the machine shop.
Yeah, the machine shop. The point is, don't want to use your fingers to get too close to a blade, right? And you know, another thing is, you guys know this already, but if you have shavings, you want to use a rake and not your hand to clean off your machine. Now, in terms of all the things I wanted to talk about, just talk about editing, push rods, gloves. Any questions? No questions. All right. Let's just go over it again. Use good lifting mechanics when you're lifting stuff. If you're handling heavy items, particularly long items, use tag lines instead of your hands or body. Make sure that you inspect your tools before use. Try to use rakes or other devices rather than your fingers. you're working on your machine. The biggest thing is make sure that you are not distracted by personal problems when you're working. Keep focused. The easiest way to get hurt is by losing focus. Basically, that's all I want to talk about today. Jesse, do you want to add something? Okay.
You have this handout, guys, fill it out, give it to your supervisor, turn in by the end of the day. So Roxanne will just put it in your safety file. We have had a couple more suggestions that we're working on. The challenge committee meets right after this. We'll go over these suggestions. Is that all, Rox? I think that's all for now.
Okay. Now, if we allow people to read their phones and stuff, like newspapers or what have you, and he's talking about hand injuries, is that going to be something that we can be blamed for? Or texting and playing games on their phone?
I don't think so. I mean, we did. Alice and Roxanne and I went to a OSHA meeting on Friday, and it was on the OSHA 300 logs. And you know, one thing that we learned about was like ergonomics. If you're doing the same job that you're, you know, turning, and it's carpal tunnel, that is part of, you know, your health and well-being. You know, if it's something with your job that's a repetitive incident that you do constantly, we need to know about that. You may think, oh, this will go away, but we need to know about that so, you know, an actual claim can get started. But if it's something that started at your previous job, literally that goes back to your previous job's liability. So we learned a lot. We didn't really think there would be 7 hours that you could sit there and talk about OSHA 300 log. It was crazy the amount of stuff that we found out. But anyways, you know, those kind of things as far as injuries, you have to tell us now, the minute that it happens. And what we failed on doing the other day with the hand injury, we did not get the accident report from the employee as well as the supervisor. Yes, there was an accident report for, you know, the workers' comp, but there was no accident report made by the employee and the supervisor. That is number one, has to be done immediately. So do not wait. If you strain your back, you know, just fill it out. You might be perfectly fine the next day, or, you know, cut yourself, you might be perfectly fine the next day. But what Cindy keeps telling us is document. We've got to have everything documented in case, you know, an eye, you think, oh, I just flushed it out, it's okay. Well, it can get infected. So we have to have everything signed, all our T's crossed, I's dotted, everything. So, you know, you have to report it immediately so we can get the paperwork right. One other thing, Mr. Ramsher came by the other day. We went to all 3 buildings to go through and see what needs to be fixed, what safety issues need to be done. You know, the door on the machine shop, for instance, keeps tripping the alarm, certain things like that. So if there's anything that you see, you know of, I've gotten him like doing a running list for us, getting me a bid. So there's, you know, certain things. I know Sammy had mentioned the cranes keep running by themselves over there at the service center, so we need to get, you know, some of those things fixed, because that could end up just whacking somebody in the head, and, you know, that's a safety incident also. So if there's anything you see, you think of, that, you know, is almost immediate, please put it on the suggestion box, because Jesse and those guys are looking constantly. Every week we're like, you got anything? No. Well, obviously nobody's paying attention, but there is going to be there's a calendar. It's going to be posted at every lunchroom, break room, whatever, so you can see the safety meetings, the safety inspections, the challenge meetings, all that. So, you know, be aware of when those things are coming around. And if you want to get more involved with the safety part of it, please let somebody know. Now, we're always looking for other people on the challenge team that can help. Just like Dustin just got certified in his CPR last weekend, and he works at Splashtown for years and years.